who does broadcasting in Canada, who could tell us everything about the national team of Canada. May I introduce Keiran Gorsky?
Whoa, that's me.
That's you, my friend.
Don't think I've ever seen it like a bilingual sports show. That's incredible. And I understood kickboxing. That's about it. All right.
So there's no Canadian sports show where they switch between English and French as well.
No, it's usually one or the other, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to appreciate the fact that you're speaking English with us. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about Keiran, who you are, and what you are doing in the sport broadcasting world in Canada.
Yeah. So it's definitely exaggerated a bit. So I host a show called Blood, Guts, and Thunder in Canada, which is something our manager, John Herdman, said once, and I thought it sounded kind of cool, so we named it that. And yeah, basically what happened was we had this producer who was who didn't think there was enough coverage of the Canadian national team. And really, it's true. The coverage on soccer in Canada is abysmal. Of course, hockey is the main thing. Basketball, baseball, they're all ahead of soccer, at least in the media. And yeah, he posted publicly about wanting to find someone, and I asked if I could do it. And yeah, I'm hosting a show now. I'm going to school for sports media next year, so it's definitely a good step into that. And yeah, I've been following. I've personally been a hockey person myself throughout my life, but over these past 2-3 years, I focused more on Canadian soccer, and I'm really excited to be here. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I actually think this is our first guest in English, so
Wow.
it's gonna be challenging. I don't know. It's not our native language, but I think
Yeah,
I hope
I
we'll
understand.
manage. I hope we'll manage. Tell us a little bit about Leo. Tell us a little bit of Jonathan David. How popular is he in Canada?
Yeah. Obviously, after Alphonso Davies, yeah, everyone loves Jonathan David in the Canadian soccer community. He was an amazing story to begin with. Like, he kind of just popped up at Ghent out of nowhere. He wasn't this kind of kid who was projected to be like a world talent from very young. He trialed at Ghent. He came out of Ghent and he started scoring in European football, kind of out of nowhere. And yeah, he had a pretty slow start to the season with Lille. He apparently had some personal issues going in, which is understandable when, you make a 30 million euro transfer. And yeah, a lot of people were sort of worried to begin with, but I think the big thing was getting paired with Brock Yilmaz, and he started scoring, and he never really stopped. He's the kind of player who's like, I don't know if there's a more pure second striker in the world than him, because he's not, when it comes to creating his own space, that's not really what he does. But when it comes to finding the perfect spot to attack from, the perfect spot where, he can show off his finishing prowess, that's what he does. And yeah, it's been amazing. It's kind of a misconception that Canada's never had any top players, because we have, or we've produced some talent over the years, Kevin McKenna, Paul Stelteri. We've had a few, but this excitement up front, it's something Canada's never had before. And we're all just delighted to see what Jonathan David is doing.
Okay, we do have a question from the comment section, and it's from Prishat, who is very big on soccer, which you call it in Canada as well, I guess.
No.
For the rest of the world, it's football. But don't worry about it. We'll explain it to you. Like, Aaron Winter is somebody from Surinamese descent who was very famous. He used to be the most capped player for the Netherlands for Oranje. And how often is the name Suriname mentioned in Canada at the moment? Do people know where Suriname is?
Canadians like to pretend that we're any better than Americans when it comes to geography. We're not. we can name, some of us can name every province in our own country, and that's about it. Yeah, so probably not many, but I wouldn't take that as like a slight against Suriname in particular, because I don't think we could point out most European countries on a map.
That's on you.
We're bad. I'm sorry.
Well, you're getting a shout out for your goalie, Mike McGain. So that's a good one. And
Yeah.
Paulo Roberto is also tuning in. I'm
In
very
regards-
happy to hear about the Surinamese news. Yeah.
In regards to
Talking,
whether they're
talking
hot or
about
not-
goalie. Excuse me?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we had a comment, and I said, talking about goalies, Paulo, he is joined here, and Paulo, of course, is one of the better goalies I've seen in Suriname. But it's a very interesting point you made, that David maybe is one of the best second strikers in the world right now. We also have such a player, in my eyes. Nigel Hasselbank is a very good second striker. But if he's your second striker, who will be your first striker?
And when I say second striker, it's not like a best thing. It's sort of just like a style of play. Personally,
Yeah.
how I would line up. I would line up in a 4-2-3-1 with Jonathan David behind Lucas Cavallini from the Vancouver Whitecaps up front. Now he's not world class like Jonathan David, but he is a designated player in MLS, and there's something to be said for that. And he's definitely struggled in terms of his scoring totals, but I think that's because he's on the Vancouver Whitecaps, who are bad. So he is capable of creating space, and that's Jonathan David doesn't do that by himself. He needs someone to do that for him, and he needs someone to take up the center back's attention so he can, sneak in from in behind. And that's the same with Kyle Laren, who I would put on the wing.
Okay, so we have to ask you this question. We don't get too much of a time for an in-depth interview, but of course we're going to invite you back when Canada plays their next matches. What do you think Canada's chances are to qualify for the World Cup?
It's a really tough question because there's just so much we have to go through. If we go to this round, we're going to be going to Haiti or Nicaragua. If we go to the final pool, we're going to be going to a ton of places. I think a lot of it is just going to turn out to depend on just pure randomness, but I'd say like around 30%. We have a good old 30% chance. So probably not, just because we have to get through so much, but I'd say it's like a better chance than we've had in a long time.
And I need to ask this question as well, because we all saw your coach speaking about our national team.
Yeah, that's John.
Yeah. How and especially after we added a lot of our players abroad, how big a disappointment will it be if you guys were not to go past this round?
So the opinions about this are definitely split when it comes to Canadian football, soccer fans. But I think when it first started out, just about everyone, I think, was underestimating what Suriname had to offer. I mean, we saw Ryan Donk, and we saw the possibility of Geraldo Becker, but we are full gung-ho on we have Alphonso Davies, we have Jonathan David, we're not losing to Suriname. But then as the dual nationals sort of just started to pile up, you have Ridgiano Haps recently, I think there's definitely a bit more nervousness than there was. I think the community in general is still more confident than I am. And I would still say that, hopefully we'll win. But I think it's a lot closer than most Canadian soccer fans would like.
Very, very honest answer. We have some people saying in the comments that they already bought their ticket to watch Suriname versus Haiti. I guess there are people in Canada that feel the same way.
Yeah.
We do want to wish you the best of luck with your national team. Of course, not necessarily against Suriname. And we hope we can invite you back on the show in the future for a more elaborate interview.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks for having
Awesome.
me.
Thanks a lot, bro. It was awesome. We keep in touch, and when the match of Suriname and Canada comes on, we'll have another interview.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks
a
a
lot,
lot.
bro.